Test of a person's true value. Death. Facing it, staring it down.
Johnny!
I got you.
Recently, I started playing Cyberpunk 2077. This is a game that came out a bit ago and was really marred in controversy because it came out really buggy. And when I played it back in the day, it definitely did have its fair share of bugs, and it was not really accessible to me on my cheaper computer. So now that I have a better computer and I've had the chance to get to play it, I figured I would bring you guys my first impressions. The game has apparently undergone a lot of different changes and is about to undergo a new change, with the brand new DLC. So as of right now, this is September 7th, 2023. So if the game changes substantively after this, then obviously this review won't quite apply, and I'll probably come make a new one for that new DLC. Essentially, this follows up the Cyberpunk board game that had various different settings in 2013 and the 2020s. However, now it jumps forward into the 2077 timeline, where essentially you play as V, who has Johnny Silverhand inserted into his head, a ex-rocker who died while trying to blow up Arasaka Towers, a mega corporation. Mega corporations kind of infight for control of various different areas or cities, and Night City is no different, being controlled by predominantly the Arasaka and Militech corporations. As V, it is your job to go through and do various different tasks for the scum of this cyberpunk-based city, aka Night City, and depending on which role you choose to start with, whether you choose nomad, street kid, or corpo, it definitely does have slight variations to your start, but usually ends up in the same place, with you stealing the relic from Arasaka Corporation and then implanting it into your head after your partner Jackie Wells dies. I really think in this beginning part here, it does a very good job of setting up your relationship with Jackie and placing you into Night City in a pretty believable and fun way, while also getting everything undergoing very quickly. There isn't really any story beats wasted in any way, shape, or form, and also I really enjoy how much depth there is right out the gate and how much you can do before you even go through the main storyline. For example, my brother Jason, when he played this game, he said it took him about 15 hours before he finally got to the main storyline part and got to the main title intro. For me, it took me approximately 4.5 hours, although I imagine a few hours is what it's going to take for anybody to get through to this part for the most part. The customer characterization is pretty good, and one of the things that I like, although it is pretty rudimentary at the start, is the weapon mechanics. For the most part, you use everything from grenades to various different cybernetic weapons and, different implants that you can put on yourself to upgrade yourself and take out the various different enemies that you have throughout Night City. You can take them on stealthily, or you can take them on head-on in some fucking combat and just blow shit up and have fun, but generally there are definitely perks to each version of that. Sometimes it's better to go in stealthily, considering there are way too many enemies to take on in the area, but other times going down guns blazing is quite fun as well. I think the story also picks up a little bit slow at the start after we get in with Jackie. There is the brain dance aspect, which I do think is quite interesting and is a different play on a detective type game. However, I think that moment really slows down the game to a halt, while the rest of the game seems to be at this breakneck pace. Now again, this could be my playstyle, and so maybe the breakneck pace is just how I was doing it, but for the most part I felt this kind of strange, especially considering you can't skip past the brain dance bit. The various enemies in the game also feel very cool and very unique, particularly Adam Smasher, for example, is very menacing and has this chrome-like figure and body that is made predominantly out of metal and gives him this really domineering type tone, as well as this really creepy presence. On top of that, the game is not afraid to be vulgar and to take you into places that, are quite uncomfortable, whether it be for body modifications or be Smasher talking about how this girl is a fuckable cut of meat. This game definitely pushes the boundaries on what, most people would consider to be edgy. The game really does have heavy undertones of what it would be like to be in a hyper-capitalistic world where crime has become somewhat accepted because they just can't control it anymore. When you get to a certain level of population, you kind of just have to accept certain facts of life, and that's what this game is about, is accepting those facts of life, but also living in them to a blaze of glory. I think that this game has a lot to offer, and I'm very excited to give you more about what I think on the game in the future. Right now, I'm putting the game at a solid 3.5 out of 4 stars. While there is a couple of little bits that I thought were strange, like the brain dance part didn't really add up for me, everything else works absolutely fucking perfectly, and I really love all of the mechanics in this game, and it all just flows so smoothly. It feels like a GTA, but in some fucked up future. What do you guys think? Do you guys like Cyberpunk? Do you dislike it? Let me know in the comments down below. Besides that, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That'll pop up during the outro, and the rest of our links are down in the description too. We have gaming sessions for gaming content, movie and Smokin sessions for movie content, CrazyRocky for variety content, and the Tripodcast for our podcast channel. Alright guys, I'll see you all in the next one.